Kingston, Ontario, is dealing with what we'd call certainly there a surge of new COVID-19 cases after an outbreak at a nail salon. Bryan Paterson's the mayor of Kingston, and he joins me now. Good to see you, Mayor. Thanks for making some time.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. So I know that you're having there's a press conference by public health officials at 1 to update us on the situation, but maybe you could give us a hint of what we should expect. How big is the problem right now in Kingston because of this outbreak?
Well, we are definitely seeing an increase in cases. We expect that number to go up for the next little while. But at the same time, it was good that we caught it early. So we've done a ton of testing. There have been hundreds of people that have come forward and doing the tests, making sure that we're doing the contact tracing, all of those best practices that we know were important. And I think that that's what I'm hearing from my public health officials, that, you know what, this was only a matter of time. We're going to see these outbreaks from time to time as we live with COVID over the next year and a half. And so the key is to catch it early and to move quickly, get that testing done. And so, so far, what I'm hearing is that it's not great, but it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, I think the last thing I heard this morning was 3,000 people have been tested, all related to this contact tracing, which is what you're supposed to do, of course, when you get this. I'm just wondering how many cases you now know are confirmed to this outbreak. The last number I had heard on that front was 25. Is that still the number?
That's right. So that's the number we have right now. I'm going to have a call very shortly with our public health officials to see if any new cases have come. But again, when we're testing that many people, we are expecting that there will be more positive cases. But again, this is just one of those things where we're just going to continue to update it, work with the community, make sure that everybody that has been to that nail salon gets tested. And again, when you're talking about 500 people that have gone to that nail salon last 2 weeks, it's a lot of people to identify, yeah. But the response in the community has been great.
So you are doing an enforcement sort of blitz right now at spas and nail salons and other things to make sure that they are practicing the right kind of public health advice. Should that not have been done proactively, or was the onus sort of on businesses to do the right thing?
Yeah, I think to be clear, public health had done a really good job about letting all these businesses know exactly what the guidelines and what the rules were. In this particular case with this nail salon, unfortunately, some of those rules and guidelines weren't being followed. And so that's where the inspection is going forward, to make sure that everybody else is following those rules. And if not, then they will be fined. Our medical officers have said that if they find more cases and further problems, that they may even issue an order to close nail salons. So that's obviously something where we identify it's a higher risk activity. Yep. You know, you're talking about being in close contact with someone for about an hour. That's something where we have to make sure that those guidelines are put in place.
Well, would you not, I understand you're obviously taking their advice, but would it not be perhaps prudent to shut down all salons and then do sort of the inspections to make sure it's happening? Because there's now 2 or 3 salons that have had some violations.
Well, we've already done a blitz, and I think we've hit just about all the salons in the city. And so right. We'll connect and see if there are further problems, and we have to take action. We're certainly willing to do that. But, you know, I think it's one of those things where it's a wake-up call for the community to say, you know, we've gone through a couple of months with hardly any cases at all, and to understand that, you know what, we have to be careful. We have to stay vigilant, that we're living with this virus. It's not going to go away. And as long as we do that, then we'll be in good shape.
Well, is that maybe part of the problem? Because I know Kingston has been sort of a success story, certainly in Ontario, in terms of containing the virus. Do you think maybe people let their guard down a little bit?
Well, I think in this particular case where the public guidelines weren't being followed, that probably is an indication that maybe some people had their guard down. So I think a wake-up call is a good thing to understand that, you know, again, this is what I'm hearing from our local public health people, that we're going to have outbreaks like this you know, until we have a vaccine. And so we have to make sure we can't let our guard down, that physical distancing and hand washing and, you know, now wearing masks, that those are things that are there for a reason, to make sure that we can prevent the spread of any new cases.
And you actually have now, the health units issued an order on mask wearing in Kingston, right? So give me a sense of where you expect people to wear masks now.
So we've issued an order that masks should be worn inside any indoor public spaces. So this would mean, like, if you're going to the grocery store, if you're going to a mall, if you're going to the library, community center, if you're riding public transit, for example. And actually the response has been pretty good here in our community. I was at the grocery store just the other day. Everybody's wearing a mask. I think people are taking it in stride. And I think given the trade-off, if you'd rather have something shut down or would you rather be wearing a mask, I think most people say that this is a better route to go. So I think the big challenge right now is finding one. I think just about every store that was selling masks has sold out of them. But I think that getting that uptake from the community is a really good sign.
Yeah. I want to ask you about another issue, if I can, before you go, and that is about recreational boaters, because I know that customs officials had warned about this, and I mean by this, Americans coming across on the water, for recreational reasons into Kingston. Is that actually happening? Have you seen evidence of that? How concerning is that for you?
Well, I mean, obviously that's a violation of the rules that are in place, and so we have had people raise those concerns. We have been and have had people on the ground that have been doing inspections, certainly of marinas and other places, to make sure that that isn't happening. And what we're encouraging people is that if you see something that is concerned, to contact Border Control directly. But obviously that's what we're trying to abide by those rules.
Yeah. Okay. Mayor, thank you for making the time. I appreciate it very much. And we'll, of course, bring people the news from the briefing later as well today. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's the Mayor of Kingston, Ontario, Bryan Paterson.